If your Airbnb has empty nights, this video will show you exactly why. I'm auditing real listings and breaking down exactly what's killing their bookings. So starting with MJ's listing, anytime I go through a listing and do an audit, I start from the top and go down. So first, let's start with the title. With the title, since it shows up in search and it's one of the first things that anyone sees when they scroll, I'm going to look for things that are not only valuable for the guest, but may catch their attention and give some indication of what the property itself has to offer. For this view from my balcony, this really doesn't add any kind of value, especially since there's an image right here, which is the first photo that they'll see. It's shown from the balcony. Condo, this really doesn't matter at all. In our airport, this may be a little bit valuable, and then MJ Minimalist, maybe MJ's brand, I'm not sure. This really doesn't add any value to the guest either. And so when they're scrolling through search, you're going to have a very low click rate based off of this, because this really doesn't give any indication of what someone will have as far as value when they come and stay here in this place. Next thing, let's get to photo quality. First off, these first 5 photos, we're going to treat these kind of like our highlight reels. So we want, in general, great high quality photos that are all very different and are of different areas of the property and that are very clear. You can see the value within the listing very clearly from the images. So we have 2 duplicates here, so I would delete one of these especially. And then we have this image right here, which looks like a daytime image of the balcony. And so I would delete this one as well because the nighttime looks much better. And then this image right here isn't super clear. It's a very unprofessional photo. I would delete this one, replace it with a professional image. And this one does look good though. Now let's get into the rest of the photo quality and layout. With the photo layout on Airbnb, I hate the slideshow presentation they put this through. You can remove this. You can go into the Airbnb listing editor and remove the images from the spaces. And once they're all removed, you can order them like you would like. In general, we do need professional quality photos. None of these are like very high quality professional images, and I would prefer to have the best angle of each room first and then going slowly into amenities. So for instance, we may start with the master bedroom and then go into a patio area or another bedroom, or show the bathroom, the kitchen, and then show some of the other amenities while staying on the property. With the description on Airbnb, search engine optimization is incredibly important. What search engine optimization is it's utilizing keywords. So keywords would be any amenity that your property offers, any piece of value that someone may get by staying in the property, like balcony, sky view, rooftop bar, those types of things, or location features, 5 minutes from the airport, just a short walk to the beach, those types of things. And so when I'm looking at this description specifically, I want to run through and look for search engine optimization keywords like layover, not really, traveling from other countries, maybe, family reunion. All these things don't really add a ton of value. And so I would give this description right now probably about a 2 out of 10 for quality. The 2 major things we're looking for with a description is it needs to be visually appealing so that people will actually read it, and it needs to be effective from an SEO standpoint. The reason why being visually appealing is so important is Airbnb actually tracks how long someone spends on your listing. So if they click right here and they see, hey, it's just a list of words and things about the property itself, then they're probably going to click right back off. Instead, what we want to do is organize our keywords in categories of each room and also write sentences with them. So for instance, enjoy your stay in a nice king bed with Egyptian cotton sheets. Something like that within the bedroom categories in the description, separated by individual categories you put them in for the rooms, so that someone can scan through, find what they're looking for very quickly, and actually read what you have to offer. Next thing, we get to the amenities themselves. So typically I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom and I'm going to see what you do not have. So a very common glitch within Airbnb is they remove amenities without your permission. I don't know why this happens, but it does, especially with things like essentials, which are towels and hand soap, and heating, cooling, those types of things. And so make sure that you check these. In the Philippines, heating is probably not necessary. I think it's pretty warm there year round, so this may be okay, but essentials is something you do want to fix. And then I thought I saw a washer and dryer, but maybe not. But if you do have that, I would fix that as well. Maybe not. Then we get to pricing. So pricing is very important, probably one of the most important things, because everything else could be right. And if your pricing is way too high or too low, not only are people not going to book your place, but Airbnb is going to dock your ranking. What you have to think about with pricing is with Airbnb, your listing is an asset to them. If they see that you're too expensive and they believe no one's going to pay that much, they will replace you from the front page and put someone else in your place. And on the flip side of that, if you're too cheap and they believe that someone is willing to pay a whole lot more, then they will also dock your ranking because they want to make more commission on whatever properties get booked. For instance, if there are 10 other properties just like yours, but they're $100 per night more expensive, and they believe the market is willing to pay for it, they will place them at a higher ranking than you because their pricing is more relevant. So it's very important not to guess on your pricing. And so if we go through MJ's pricing, let's go to the weekend, 111 for 2 nights. Keep in mind this is in the Philippines, so they do have cheaper rates. Okay, so very little fluctuation, which is to be expected at a cheaper rate. Would definitely encourage you to take a look at some pricing softwares to help fluctuate this a little bit more. But right now, in general, there is a lot of vacancy. And so I'm going to show you how we check, just in general, if pricing is accurate. What we would do in this scenario is we want to go to another Airbnb tab. We want to search for this area of the Philippines. We're going to do a flexible date for a week so that we can get as many properties as we possibly can. And then we want to look for a place that sleeps 4 guests. And so what will happen is, you can see there's MJ's property likely showing up on page 1 because we've already looked at it in the past. But what will happen is you'll start seeing properties pop up within MJ's area that are very similar to hers. So we would want to zoom into this area, and there's quite a few properties right in this same area as MJ's property. Okay, here we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with MJ's property, and we're going to create a new wish list. We're going to just name it MJ Paranak. Hopefully I'm saying that correct. We're going to create a wish list. This property does have a pool, so we're going to add in these filters. It is also an entire home. And now we have a clear filter for the type of property we're looking for. And now we're going to go through. This property is a little bit nicer than MJ's, so we're not going to be able to include that one. And we're going to find other listings that are similar to MJ's. This is MJ's property, and we're going to add up to 10 if we can. This one I would say is close enough. This one's super nice. That one's not nice enough. That one's too big. All right, I'm going to add that one. Add this one. This one looks like it's in the same building as well. Yep, this one can be included. This one, it's not nice enough. And the reason why I'm doing this is I want to find properties as close to MJ's as I possibly can. Okay, that should be enough. Now we can go to our wish lists. We've got MJ's, so we've got 9 properties in here, including hers. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to MJ's property right here and look at her next vacancy. So right now, the next weekend from the 9th to the 11th is available. And so we're going to just click into our wish list and see the 9th through the 11th. And we can see MJ is priced at $134 for 2 nights. This property is $117. This one's $111, $118, $114, $209, $129. Probably a pretty competitive there. Let's look at the middle of the week. MJ's at $137, and most of these are all cheaper. So I would probably drop the price slightly. Let's go out to February, the 6th through the 8th. 2 of the properties are booked at this time. MJ's at $134, we're at $111, $115, $125, $123, $190. So probably drop the price a little there as well. Anywhere from $5 to $10 a night. And you can see what you start to do here. You know, you're starting to build an image in your mind of where the pricing should be in each month. And so what I would do in this scenario, if I was setting up pricing from the start with this property or fixing it, is I would go through each month and look at the weekend prices and the weekday prices, and I would adjust them accordingly in my pricing software. So like, let's see, for 13th through the 16th, we're at 203. and these properties are significantly less. You see, we've got that big variance there. If somebody wanted to book a week, we're at 450, 382, 387. This is 291. So they're dramatically cheaper than MJ's property. And so it looks like her price needs to get dropped anywhere from 5 to 10%. And so all in all, I would say MJ's got a great property. We do need some professional photos, search engine optimization to get more visibility on the platform. SEO is all about getting in front of more people, because the more keywords you have, the more information that Airbnb can use to show you to more guests. And then also dialing her price in a little bit better, dropping those rates so that she can be more competitive year round. So let's go to the next property now. Now we have Kalpana's property in North Little Rock, Arkansas. And so we're going to do the same thing with Kalpana. Again, going through the title. We need some more SEO here in the title. Entire cottage. We already have this right here, entire home. Discount for long stays. Unless long stays are extremely common in the area, this may add little to no value to the listing itself. The reviews right now are at 4.46. Anything above or below 4.8 is going to make it really tough to get booked. What I would do in this scenario is go to the negative reviews and use Airbnb's review policy to get those taken down. If you guys need help with that, we do have an AI bot that we built that cross-references Airbnb's policy to get those taken down. In the description, this really isn't long enough to give any context to the property itself, sell people the dream of staying in the home. Even if it's not a vacation market, this is very important in getting someone to go from viewing your listing to booking it. Within the amenities, everything looks okay. We do need professional photos. Professional photos would be great, and we also need to reorder these. Right now there's 2 duplicates, there's 2 bedrooms, and there's a kitchen that is not wide angle, so it doesn't really give a great view of the home itself. So I would swap one of these dining tables out with maybe a living room photo or something else, and I would also use professional images in the home. A lot of vacancy on this property. One thing I noticed right off the bat is Kalpana has a 3-night minimum stay. And so if we go to her market in North Little Rock on AirDNA, which is a great tool, we can see that in her market for listings by minimum stay, more than 70% of the market is less than 3 nights. More than 70% has a 1 or 2 night stay, with the majority having a 1 night. So if only 30% of the market is using a 3 night or higher minimum stay, then that tells you a lot about where they're seeing success. And so I would bet this is a big factor in why Kalpana has a lot of vacancy right now. Let's also check. Okay, she has no additional fees there. We can check her competitiveness again by building a wish list. And I'll do that for you as well here. So we're going to copy North Little Rock. We're going to go back to Airbnb. We're going to do another search. Flexible. We're going to do a week. And she can sleep 4 guests. Here's her property. Again, it's probably showing up on page 1 simply because we already saw it. So once you view a property on Airbnb, they're much more likely, almost every time, they're going to show it on page 1 to you again, because now that listing has entered into your algorithm as a guest. So going through Kalpana's property, she's not really close enough to the river to be like riverfront. So I'm not going to be able to justify like a huge premium for the property itself. Let's go through and find some other places she can compare to. That one's a little too nice. This one would work. And again, when I'm looking for a comparable property, I'm looking for something with as similar amenities and quality and location as I possibly can. That's why I'm zooming in, weeding out any properties that are very nice if I can. If there's just not anything with comparable quality and value, then I'll use what I have. I'll just take that into consideration though. So if the comps are much nicer, then I'll just know that we need to be slightly below those comps. We can use this one. We can use this one. You can use that one. Well, that's a 1-bedroom. I'm not going to use that one. And hopefully you're seeing, kind of what I'm doing here. I'm just filtering through, finding the closest ones I possibly can to Kalpana's in like size, quality, amenities. I know I'm kind of flying through this. If you want to be more in depth, absolutely encourage you to do so. And I also understand that, you may be a little bit slower starting out. It's okay. I would rather you be slower and more in depth than fly through it like I am and make mistakes. But I also have done this hundreds of times, so I have that benefit working there for me. All right, we can use this one too. All right, now we're going to go back to our wish list. Click on Kalpana's. Her next availability is this weekend as well, and she is a 3-night minimum, so the 9th through the 12th. So she is at 573. We have a 519, 440, 447, and 425. And I would argue that almost all of these are slightly nicer. Well, this one probably not. Slightly nicer, or at least on the same level as Kalpana's property. And so in this case, she is definitely too high. Something else I want you to note, if we look at how many properties are available in the same range, all of them are available but Kalpana's for a 2-night stay. And so that's very important to note. All right, for that next week, Kalpana's at 523, 411, 425, 447, and 440. Still too high. Let's go to the next month. Keep forgetting she's a 3-night stay. 774. We have 512, 523, 442, 440, 425, and 415. So again, using this wish list model, you can see the value of it, but it really shows you how much higher in price you may be. And all of these properties are very solid comps. Well, let's go back and look at her peak season. So if we look at revenue, like when's her highest revenue? It's October. So let's go all the way to October, and let's look at a weekend there and see how things compare. She may not be available that far out. Let's see. No, she's not. So let's go to August. We'll do a weekend here. All right, so she's at 451. And she's actually much more competitive out this far. Not available there. Not available there. Maybe she has some bookings there. Okay, so 438. And very, very competitive out this far. So maybe it's just the first part of the year where she's less competitive. And this could be the case. A lot of hosts, they'll have very slow seasons throughout the year, and it's not because people aren't booking, it's just that during that period of time, they're not competitive. And that is more than likely the case for Kalpana. All right, let's go to our next property. We have Sherry's property. So with Sherry, I want to be upfront and frank. Sherry and Scott are clients of ours, so they do have the benefit of getting our systems, processes, and just understanding SEO. We actually optimize these listings for them, so they are going to score much higher than usual. So the River Place, hot tub, riverfront, luxury. The only two things that are questionable are the River Place, but this is their brand, so this is why I would recommend keeping it for them. And then luxury, this can be opinion based, and so you may want to swap that out if you see a lower click rate, Sherry and Scott. With the description itself, always do like to see a little bit of spacing in between this. So you got the master bedroom, we do need a space there, bathroom. Otherwise it just looks like a huge paragraph, which is what we don't want. So definitely would recommend putting some spacing there. With the amenities, you probably do have a private entrance. If I remember correctly, this just means that nobody else is entering into that door into the home. And so I'd recommend swapping that out if that's the case. And then with pricing, we're going to do the same thing. The thing about Scott and Sherry's property is it's very unique. And so we're going to have to find, as close as we can, properties that match the same level of uniqueness. And so with this, a couple things that we can do. So first off, we need an entire home. I believe they have a hot tub. Yes, they do. So we're going to add that hot tub. Guest favorite, to find a property of the same quality. It is a home. And that's about all we can do. Okay, and then we're going to search for properties. They don't have to be incredibly unique, but they have to be at least at the same quality and standard as this property. So we're going to add their property first. That one's a little too cabiny. Now, a cabin will appeal to a different audience than a regular single-family home like what Scott has. Let me zoom in a little bit, get closer to here where the normal homes are, or as close as we can get. Okay, so this one's close enough. And this is one challenge with very unique homes, is finding properties as close as possible to them. And if you have a lot of direct bookings, it makes this a lot easier because you can sell your brand more than just being on the platform, doing things like talking about how the property was built, how it's put together, the details, the amenities, and ultimately selling people more over email than anything. Okay, so they actually have 2 listings. They have the 2 and the 3 bedroom. So we can keep both of those for now. All right, so we're running out of comps. So now we're just going to go back through and pick the closest that we can find. Even including some that we typically would not, because when you run out of uniqueness, you have to swap that out with amenities, something that would justify an increase in cost. Okay, so now that we have the wish list built, we're going to go back to it. And with this, we want to make sure with absolute certainty that we're spending quite a bit of time analyzing these and being very selective. Okay, so Scott and Sherry do not have an additional guest fee. For 4 guests from the 12th to the 14th, they're at $11.20. Okay, and there are other properties at $18.50. So they, other than this other home that arguably is a little more luxurious, at least with the home styling, they're the most expensive. Checking the next weekend, may not be available then. Nope, they're not. It's the 23rd through the 25th. $11.20. Again, other than this very expensive home, they're the most expensive option. Let's go next month. Start popping up. Maybe they have a 3-night. No. Okay, there it is, $11.20, and they're right on par for further out. Okay, let's go to March 13th through the 15th. $11.20 as well. Still a little bit high. A lot of people are booked then. Actually, they have that 3-night minimum. That's what it is. They're at $15.80. This one's at $1,037. Okay, so further out, they're a little cheaper, at least in March. And so more than likely in this scenario, what would need to happen is to go through each month, again, adjust base and minimum pricing to make sure that everything is accurate and competitive, and then make more manual adjustments last minute, because the last minute stays are not competitive enough to get booked. If you look at these dates again, we're at $11.20. This one's at $4.50, $7.83, $9.13. The same properties that are even more expensive than than Scott and Sherry's out in March is much cheaper this time of year. And so they're more than likely getting booked more frequently because their pricing is more competitive. We can click on one of these. Let's look at their calendar. See, they have a couple bookings at least throughout the next few weeks. Let's look at a few other ones. Let's look at this one. Yeah, a few bookings at least all throughout the next few weeks. So I would say more than anything, it's not going to be an optimization issue with Scott Sherry's because we've already helped them out with the majority of this. It's just a pricing adjustment issue from here. Now we have this last property with Maya and Angela, and going through this one, Maya and Angela are not current clients. Free parking, this can be a high value if it's in the city, and parking is typically an issue. Full gym, this is great. Washer and dryer in unit, that's good. 5 minutes to downtown, I like it. With photo quality, I would say we're okay with quality. Photo layout can be adjusted. Again, I'm a hater for Airbnb's stock image flow. So remove all these from the spaces, use the best angle from each room, and then drip in your amenities. I would also replace some of these photos here in the top. You have 4 photos of the kitchen. I would put the gym in here. I would throw some other amenities and make sure all of these images are different rooms and different pieces of the property. You got some good SEO here. Everything's spaced out, so I'll give you points here. You can always add more SEO, but this in general looks pretty solid. Private entrance, if it's in a condo, this may not be true. Essentials is towels and hand soap. So overall, pretty good. Last but not least, let's build out this wish list so we can check everything. So this is in Oklahoma City. It's for guests. And there's our property again because we've been looking at it. Going to create that wish list. And then her property does have, it is an entire home. It does have free parking, gym. It is an apartment. There's only 10 homes. I guess that makes it easy. So honestly, all these are fairly close enough. I'm just going to add them all. There's only 10 of them too. Now we can go back to our wish list and we're going to start looking for that vacancy. So next is the 12th through the 14th. 8 homes available. We're at 228 and we're actually a little cheap for these dates. Next available weekend is the 13th through the 16th, and there's a 3-night minimum. And Andel's at 411, while everybody else is at 820, 750, 520. So the cheapest, again, let's see what else. It's got a 5-night minimum further out. 758, the 27th through the 1st. And a little cheap there too. So with this property, it looks like what is happening, and I'm going to look up Oklahoma City real quick. It looks like what is happening, if I had to guess. Okay, so yeah, she's got 30, 60, 74, 83, like 83% of the market has less than a 5-night stay. And she has a 5-night stay a couple months out. So more than likely what is happening is people are booking farther out during these times of years, and she's not competitive there. She's not even showing up in search. I'll show you what happens. If we look at a flexible weekend in March, doesn't even show up because a weekend is a 2-night stay. everybody else shows up, or at least most of them. Well, yeah, they do. All of them. We look into April. Flexible weekend doesn't show up for Angela. And so what happens with this is Airbnb is a momentum-based machine. If you're continuously getting great views, great clicks, great bookings, great positive reviews, then over time you'll get more opportunity until you fill your calendar. But if you are consistently getting stifled, meaning you're not getting views, if you do get views, you're not getting clicked, and if you're getting clicked but not getting booked, Airbnb is going to see you as a liability. You're costing them money because you're not getting booked to make them money. And so they're going to take you off page one, and then slowly they're not going to show you at all. And this is why people, in some cases, can't even find their listing, because they don't show up on the first 15 pages of Airbnb within their market because they're not competitive. So hopefully this was valuable to you guys and taught you a lot about analyzing listings and identifying what could keep them from getting booked. In all, I would say that this is a consistency problem for Angela and Maya. Not showing up consistently because the pricing is a little bit off. They have too high of a nightly minimum far out. And then there's a lot of these weird like blank stays throughout the year, like a Monday through a Wednesday. That's something that I would try to fix there, just by reducing the nightly minimum of stays and also being more competitive with pricing. Thanks for watching, and if this was valuable for you, make sure you like, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you get notified on our next video. I'll see you soon.